Hi, we are with a special guest today. Is Charles Watts, a journalist in UK and Arsenal fan. Hi, Charles. Thank you for being here in this channel, in this space, in this community. We speak Spanish, but we can understand. We can understand.
Excellent. Hi, Gianfranco. Good to be here, and yeah, looking forward to this chat.
I'm very excited because you were very busy in the last transfer markets as all the journalists, but this is very different. It's very special because Arsenal looks like they are very lent and not at the same speed that we used to do in the last market. What is the first we can talk about this year, this transfer market, this time of Arsenal actually?
Mhm. Well, it's been a bit slow, hasn't it? What we were just about to go off on the US tour, no new signings so far, but Arsenal are working hard to improve the squad. I think they will improve the squad. I think we'll see, more than one addition. I think they need it as well. Midfield is a really key area that they're looking to strengthen. I think they'll do that. I think they'll sign another attacking player as well. I think a goalkeeper will come in very soon to provide backup for Raya and Ramsdale. If Ramsdale goes, they'll have to sign another one as well. So I think there's plenty of business to be done. It's been a bit slow because of the Euros, because of the Copa America, but now those tournaments have finished. I think you'll see Arsenal really start to move in the transfer market now.
And it could maybe be because we have a very good squad right now. We don't need, like Manchester United, for example, going for one, two, three center backs, three strikers. We have actually a very good squad. But sometimes the fans thinks that they don't have the good enough to compete against Manchester City, but we really had. Of course, we can improve, but it's not the same Arsenal as before.
No, it's not a squad that you need to dramatically overhaul and improve. Arsenal have done that over the last couple of seasons. That's what all the work has been sort of aimed at to get into the point where we are now, where you don't need to go out and sign 5, 6, 7 players and completely change your squad. You just need to add 2 or 3, top quality players who can come in and take you a little bit further. And, what Arsenal did last season was very impressive. They showed they're a fantastic team. They broke records. It still wasn't enough to win the league because that's the age we live in now against Manchester
Points.
City. But what Arsenal achieved last season was very impressive by all accounts. They would have been worthy champions had they won the league. But this summer is all about trying to take the team, the squad, to the next level. Oh, sorry, just smashed a picture. And I think they'll do that. I think we'll see some players go. Emile Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, potentially Aaron Ramsdale, those sort of players, I think they probably will go before the window shuts, some of them sooner rather than later. And it's about improving the squad by replacing those players with better ones, if you see what I mean. And I think that's what this window is going to be all about.
And as you told you, we can improve some areas. But right now, we are in a time where we used to think that our players are not good enough, but we can sell Eddie Nketiah for 20 million pounds when you have players who asking, like, for example, Xerxes. Joshua Xerxes is about 50 million euros. It's a lot of money. Agents and that. Arsenal needs to improve the way of selling players. Don't you think about it?
Yeah, they do. Absolutely. And I think Eddie will be under a bit of pressure to do that this summer. It's funny, I was just having a conversation with James Benge, another Arsenal journalist, and we were just doing a show that's going to go out later, and we were talking about that I think Edu this summer, he'll look at it, the owners will look at it, and he will be under a bit of pressure to bring in some decent money because they haven't been able to do that over the last few windows. But this window, those players I just mentioned, Emile Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, Aaron Ramsdale, Arsenal should be getting good money for all of those players if they sell them. £100 million really should be the minimum target for if you sell those 4 players.
Or
average,
the package.
an average of 25 million each, really. Because you look at Reece Nelson potentially to West Ham, 25 million ish. I think Emile Smith-Rowe, you can ask for more than that. Potentially 30, 35.
I get surprised when we refuse 30 million pounds of Fulham, like the reports
Yeah, exactly. And so, they need to be getting good money in, because it's something they've not been great at in the last few seasons. And this summer of all summers, they need to do that. And then that money can be reinvested. Arsenal don't need to sell to buy, but the more you sell, the more money bring in.
Of course.
The easier it's going to be to buy and to maybe get one extra player that you hadn't really budgeted before that. So it's a really, really important summer for that. And I think, like I said, Edu's going to be under a bit of pressure to deliver this summer.
I get a little bit frustrated when I read or listen people who ask 20 millions, 10 millions, give Eddie Nketiah. I pay for Eddie Nketiah, for other clubs to take Eddie Nketiah. That has to finish. And Arteta and Edu had made a lot of things to change our minds, our speech in front and social media. I can see now the Gunners are respecting more their players. Looking, Manchester United, Chelsea are paying 100 million for players like Mudryk, like Anthony, and they are not doing as well as, for example, Eddie Nketiah, Reiss Nelson. And we have to make more efforts to put some respect on our players. And I guess we can do something as journalists, as fans. The social media is very, very powerful in these times. I don't know if you think about it.
Yeah, no, it is very powerful. And I think you're absolutely right. And, these are good players that we're talking about here. And when you see, like you were saying, that people saying, oh, just give someone away for anything, I'll drive them to the airport myself. It's just rubbish. And it's typical social media, the worst part of social media. Eddie Nketiah is a very good striker. He's a proven goal scorer in the Premier League. He's shown he can score goals. And I have no doubt that if he goes somewhere, he will score goals and he will prove that he's a very good forward. And so, yeah, the suggestion that Arsenal should just give him away or whatever, they need to get good money for Eddie Nketiah. They've developed him. They've turned him into a proper Premier League striker. And if they are going to sell, which I think they will, they need to get good money for that investment that they've put into him to develop him into the player that he is now.
Yes, I guess it's time for changing that. And of course, the transfer market is very slow, but it's not quiet. Edu is working a lot, and I guess he deserves some flowers. People are recognizing more and more, but there is still doubts about the moves we used to do. Do you trust in Edu, Arteta right now as a team? Richard Garlick, do you trust in their work?
Absolutely. I don't know how you can't, really. I mean, God, it's not. You don't have to go back very far to remember the mess that Arsenal are in when it came to recruitment and contracts they were handing out and players they were signing. And, you don't really get any of that now. Yes, you're always going to have some failures when you sign players. No one can have a perfect resume when it comes. Look at Manchester City. They've had some signings that haven't worked out. That's always going to happen. The main thing is, what you have to aim for is you have more hits than you have misses. And Arsenal have absolutely had more hits than they've had misses in the last 2 years. To turn this squad in such a short space of time into the squad that it is, with the top quality players that they've got, you have to trust them. Yes, they'll make mistakes. Some signings won't work, like Sambi Lokonga, for example. But it was still a signing.
We received money. Another year, Cedric Suarez, we didn't receive any money for Cedric Suarez. But we received some money back with Sambi Lokonga, Nuno Tavares, because it's another profile of players that they are getting. They
were worth signing as well, because they were two very. Sambi Lokonga was a captain of Anderlecht at 18 and was a top quality player, prospect. Nuno Tavares as well, only £7 million from Benfica, but clearly had a lot of good attributes. So they were signings that were worth doing. Again, they don't always work out, but they're not bad players, and they've gone to good clubs. Nuno's gone to Lazio, Sambi's gone to Sevilla, good top quality European clubs. So that shows they're not bad players. They're good players that top clubs want to sign. So, I fully have trust in Edu and Arteta and Richard Garlick. But one of the biggest success stories that Arsenal have now is the sort of top level people they have at the club, the hierarchy that they now have at the club. Is they all know what they're doing. They're all working on the same page, and they're all pulling in the same direction. And if you're going to be a successful football club, that has to happen. And that's why Arsenal was so poor before, because there were so many different figures of power who are all fighting for power at Arsenal. And when you've got that, it's never going to be successful. You need to have a very well-run shop.
I like because Mikel Arteta, the first time when they received the club and his first speech in front of press, he used to say they were looking the balance between Liverpool model and Manchester City model. That was very clear. And right now, Arsenal is the model of Manchester United, of Chelsea. I always remember the guys here in the community, and when Manchester United fans are very excited for Joshua Zirkzee, I remember we were 3 or 4 years ago making business with Kia Joorabkians, and right now they are in that phase. We are 3 years after that, and I feel very proud of Arteta, Edu, and of course the Kroenke, because we have to recognize the owners have changed a lot, and it's for me it's valid to change. You can make better, you can fail like the European League, and this is another time. It's like Josh said, it's a time to be excited. Right now we understand that phase, no, that phrase.
Yeah. No, the Kroenkes deserve a lot of credit. Like you said, they made a lot of mistakes in the past. They weren't universally popular. The fans didn't really trust them. But certainly since they've taken full control of the club, it's hard to fault what they've done. They've put a lot of money in. They've backed their management. They've backed Edu in the transfer market. And, in Josh Kroenke, and I've met him a few times, and he isn't quite an impressive guy. And you get the impression that he does kind of know what he's doing, and that's obviously very important for your owner of your football club, and he does care as well. And before, we weren't really sure if the Kroenkes cared. It was always like, are Arsenal just that thing on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean that they're not too bothered about? All their focus is in the United States, but they do care, and they've shown that they've cared in the last few years.
You feel it. I guess I can feel it here in Spain. People in Argentina, in Peru is feeling that change, and of course in UK, you as journalists, there's some special treatment or some change the club is doing with you, journalists or public relations, maybe sometimes, because every club does some activations and have some plans to work on improve the image of Arsenal, no, of the club.
Not really, no. I've not really seen any difference from the bad times to when it is now. They still treat us and work with us the same. I think the only way you're going to improve your image as a football club is by being good on the football pitch. and
that's more than this. That's enough.
But it's the only way you're going to improve your image, really, is by doing things the right way, not dealing with super agents and doing stupid deals that just don't look right at all. And, when you keep doing that sort of thing, that's when your image is going to be tarnished. But when you do things right, when you've got an impressive manager at the helm of it, when it's clear that the owners are, have their hearts in it now, that's how you improve your image. That's how your PR goes up. And that's what Arsenal are doing right now. It's very hard as a journalist who covers the club to really criticize Arsenal for what they're doing. Obviously, they need to win trophies. That's where Arsenal are now. They've done all the hard work, but now it's the hardest possible thing is to actually get past Man City and win trophies. The biggest
step.
Exactly. But for what they've done in the last 2 years, it's very hard to look at it and be around it and be critical, because they've basically done everything right to get to where they are. And they had to get everything right because they were so far behind. To get to where they are now, they had to do everything right, and they've pretty much done that. But as I said, now is the hardest step because they are ready to win trophies. Arsenal are good enough to win trophies. They were good enough last season to win trophies, but they still didn't get it done because of Manchester City. So now they have to show that they can get past them, and that's the biggest challenge in football right now.
I would like to talk some about you because you are a Arsenal fan. Have you ever been an Arsenal fan, or maybe you follow another team as kid and your father
always,
maybe?
Always Arsenal fan. My dad's an Arsenal fan. My dad was born in Arsenal.
I watched your last game after the lockdown when you went back to the stadium. Oh, it was very emotional. I really love that video with your dad.
Yeah, that was great. I love that video. I still watch that every so often now. It's but yeah, my dad grew up at Arsenal. He went to school around there. His house as a kid was now about 10 meters away from the Emirates Stadium now is. And so yeah, I was always going to be an Arsenal fan. And I've been a season ticket holder, still am a season ticket holder. I've been that since 1990. So what, 34 years now as a season ticket holder. And yeah, it's just always been in my heart and always will be.
Do you feel the massive that Arsenal is right now, that social media is more strong is stronger in the life, in the real life? Do you realize how big is the club of community? People speaking Spanish, Korean, Japanese. I feel a little bit disappointed because our manager is from Spain and there's not enough content in Spanish. But we can do, in this space, in this channel, we can do the best we can. What do you think about Arsenal right now and the compromise of our diversity and the global, the globalization, no? The diversity of our community?
I think it's what makes Arsenal so great, to be honest, is just how big they are. And like you said, the communities all around the world, they're just, so passionate about Arsenal. And there's always a debate over in England about, I don't know if you saw it last year, the Pochettino had the questions from a journalist about like foreign fans. I can't remember how they described it, as like a tourist type fans, which is just rubbish, because it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It doesn't matter where you live. You're an Arsenal fan at the end of the day. And if you're in England, if you're in Spain, if you're in Australia, if you're in India, if you're in Pakistan, if you're in Thailand, you're the same. You're an Arsenal fan. You're part of this global community, which makes Arsenal so great. I've been on pre-season tours to Australia with Arsenal, to Singapore with Arsenal, and you just realize how huge it is. When I went to Australia, we had 2 games in a row, had 100,000 people sold out the stadium, 2 games in a row to Arsenal, and on the other side of the world. And it just makes you realize just how big this football club is, and it's what makes it so great. And Arsenal's always been about diversity, way back when, in the 70s, in the 80s, when there were so many problems with English football, Arsenal was always a really diverse fan base, and it's what made them so great. And it will always be that way, I think. And it's one of the things I'm most proud about, to be an Arsenal fan, to be honest.
I hope more fans can make the dream of going to Emirates. Is very difficult, and every time every year Arsenal is more difficult to get some tickets. I have the fortune, the luck of have some tickets for the last year in Newcastle, Brentford. I went to Manchester. I went to Old Trafford to that final game. It was very nice. It's a very kind experience that you have in England. But of course, the Premier League going in one direction, and the squad of England right now have some change. I want a little opinion of what suppose the end of Gareth Southgate, because I really appreciate what he did when Bukayo Saka needs some cover, some protection. The next one could be better or not for you.
I mean, I think it was the right time for Gareth Southgate to go, but I think he did an excellent job. Before Southgate arrived, year after year, tournament after tournament, England would flatter to deceive and would go out early. You can't, Southgate, you just look at his record, 2 finals in a row in the Euros, a World Cup semi-final, a World Cup quarter-final. He gets England to the business stages of tournaments. And he picked up England from a really low position, and he has helped unite the squad, which is always the hardest thing to do with England. There was always cliques, and the squad never got on. There had always been people from United players, Liverpool players, Arsenal players, Tottenham players, and they never used to get on. Now these players love playing for England, and Gareth Southgate has been absolutely key to that. Do I think England can get a better manager than Gareth Southgate? Yes, 100%. I think his deficiencies have been on show during the recent Euros. I don't think England got to the final because of Southgate. I think they got to the final in spite of Southgate, because I think he made some really poor decisions during that tournament. And so I think the time was right for him to go. But whoever takes on the job now, whoever's going to get it, is going to be inheriting a squad that is in a much better place, and that is thanks to Gareth Southgate. So
yes, it is.
So that's my thought on it. But it is the right time, and England weren't good in the Euros. It would have been a travesty if
player love him.
They do, they do love him. They do love him. But you saw in the Euros they weren't playing well. He was I thought he was confused. He didn't make the big decisions that he needed to. Harry Kane should never, ever have started in that final against Spain. That was obvious. He wasn't playing well. He wasn't fit. And, Southgate shouldn't have played him, but he did. And yeah, I was devastated that England didn't win. I really wanted to win, but it was the correct thing for football that Spain won that tournament, because Spain were the best team at the tournament by an absolute mile, and they deserved to win. And if football in terms, that was absolutely the right outcome, was that Spain won that tournament.
Yes, they really deserve here. The people were very, very proud, because on the first of the tournament, the most of people here that didn't believe in them. I would like to talk about your book, because you write about Mikel Arteta. And I follow you a lot of time before. You were very critical with Mikel Arteta. Very, very critical sometime. And of course, there was many things to criticize to him. But what happened between that part of you being very critical of Mikel Arteta and writing a book of Mikel Arteta, Charles? I'm really interested in your history.
I just think it's a really interesting story. And when I was critical of, it wasn't so much Arteta. I think it was just more of a lot of the club and how things were going at that stage. Mm-hmm. You've got to be, when you do what I do. Yes, I'm an Arsenal fan, but you've got to be, when you're reporting on Arsenal, you have to report what you think is correct. And Arsenal obviously was struggling. There wasn't many signs that things were improving on the pitch, and there was a couple of times where I really thought he could well get the sack. But what's so impressive about Arteta, and I think this comes around in the book, is that he always stuck to his plan, even in those really difficult times when Arsenal were just above the relegation zone and had the worst start in the club's history and all that sort of stuff. He never deviated. He was always sure that what he was doing was gonna work, and he was right. And that comes across in the book. I think the story it's not just about Arteta; it's about Arsenal under Arteta. So it's about the journey the club has been on from when he arrived. And I think he's such an interesting character as well, Arteta, behind the scenes, what he was like as a player, what he was like as a captain, what he's like as a family man, what drives him on. I just think it's a really interesting story. And when you sort of join that all together. So that was kind of what the book was about. Obviously, I wished and hoped it was going to have the perfect ending of Arsenal lifting the Premier League trophy. That didn't happen, but who knows? Hopefully that will happen very, very soon.
It will be a record of sales if Arsenal get the trophy, and you.
It'd be nice.
I have pendant. I have to read your book. I couldn't get it in when I was in UK, but it's my compromise. Here in Spanish and Latin America, we used to follow your work and really appreciate what you do. Why did you decide to leave the goal where you used to be reporter and make your own channel? Now you have guests like James Bench, Teams News and Ticks. What's happening in this news in these times of journalists? Please explain to me that new vision of reporting.
I just wanted to. I'd been an Arsenal correspondent for quite a long time. I'd been at Football London, then been at Goal, and it was great. I was enjoying it, but I always felt like I kind of just wanted to do my own thing, if you see what I mean. And I kind of looked at the way football reporting is going, how people get their content, and more of it is, what we're doing now, me talking to you on video. And like you said, it's going all over the world. And, I just felt like that's the way that people and fans are really enjoying getting their content. And so I'd wanted to do it for a while, and then my job was going to change at Goal as well. And they wanted me not just to be the Arsenal reporter, they wanted me to move over and be a London-wide reporter. So I'd have to cover Tottenham and Chelsea, and I just didn't have the passion for that. I didn't want to do it. I'm an Arsenal. I got into journalism 20 years ago to be a journalist who covers Arsenal, and that was always my dream. And so I just didn't really have any interest in doing other teams. And so when they said that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna kind of follow my dream here. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna try and do it on my own and create this sort of my own Arsenal.
It's a hard decision.
Media. It was kind of a hard decision, but it was hard because I've got a young family. I've got 2 children.
That's
and
why
things like that.
I'm single. I can do that.
And so obviously I had that on my mind as like, am I doing the right thing here? I've got responsibilities that I need to be able to cover, but I still felt like the time was right to really try it. And it's been a year now, and I'm loving what I'm doing. I still do stuff for Goal, so I still go and do their match coverage. So I'm still going to the games and covering stuff for Goal there. I'm writing for Caught Offside as part of Fabrizio Romano's daily briefing. I do an Arsenal column on that, so I'm still doing writing stuff for different companies, but on the whole, I'm my own boss, and I'm concentrating on my podcast and my YouTube channel and my own website and things like that. So it was a big move at the time, but it was one I don't regret now, a year on.
Yes, I actually when I started, I said, "Whoa, it's not much views. Maybe he refused that and go back to Goal or not." But you have to continue, and you have more than 1,000 followers very quickly because you make a very good work. And these times it's very hard because with Twitter, with the blue check, you don't know where the good information comes, and it's very hard. For me, at least, I hate when the journalists use the Arsenal names to make some views or to improve the price of players. And I really appreciate the work you do, because if you don't need to make some to get views, you don't do that. It's better make some expectations, and you can get Victor Osimhen or whatever you want. But it is not true.
Yeah.
What is the balance you get in between give information and opinion about it?
Yeah. Well, if it's mine, if I've got information, I'll flag that up. If I'm talking about something that is not my information, then I'll make it very, very clear that it's just opinion that I'm talking about. I think that's very important. As a journalist, you don't. I can never understand people making things up, and to be honest, any journalist that I know and that I work with, and I've never known anyone make anything up, but it's very easy on the internet to be able to link players to someone and like you said, for views and for engagement and things like that. But I think if you do that, then your reputation is going to very quickly go one way, and that's down, not up. And so you're not hurting. You might get a boost for like one video or one story or something like that, but very soon people just aren't going to believe what you say. So I've always been at the case that I will report things that I know are definitely true, and anything else, then I'm not going to go near it.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your work, and I hope to see you again in this season. I'm going to try to go to the match, because people say I'm very lucky. Every game I went the last year, we won.
Excellent.
I hope we won again.
Come to every game now. Come to every game.
Your expectation for this transfer, this year, this season, please, for finish this. What do you expect? Of course, we don't have we haven't finished the transfer market, but we know where are going Arsenal. I
think Arsenal will win the Premier League. I really do. I feel very confident that Arsenal will win it. Obviously, it's going to be really hard, but they were so close last year. We're so close the last 2 years, and they're going to have learned from that. I think the start of the season is really important. They've got some really difficult games early on. Those 3 away games straight away: Man City, Tottenham, and Aston Villa. They've got to start well. They've got to pick up points in those games. If they can do that and get off to a good start, then I think they're going to go on and win this league. I really do.
Will we have your book in Spanish someday? Are you talking with the...
I'm not sure if it's been translated into Spanish. It's gone. I know it's been translated into Japanese. It's just done that.
Good market.
Polish, Polish. It was translated. I'm not sure about Spanish market yet. I'm not. I haven't been contacted by the publishers about a Japanese one. A Spanish one yet. But who knows? Maybe.
Here we have some good journalists who make 2 very good books. The Arsenal Way is one of our friend of here, Rodrigo. He's from Argentina. And the other one is about the Invincibles. Is Adrià Jimenez. He's a very good journalist also from Arsenal and football. And you too, because you were very helpful to me. It's very kindful of you. I feel very proud of getting an interview of you because I admire you. I follow your work and I appreciate what you do for our club and our community, Charles. I hope you spend a good time here and you want to come back to talk more about our club.
Yeah, anytime, Gianfranco. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you at the Emirates at some point again this season.
Where can you buy? Where can we buy the book if we want? I'm going to put the link and maybe.
Well, the new paperback version, the updated version, that comes out tomorrow. On Thursday. I don't know when
tomorrow,
you're putting this.
July 18. If you're looking recorded.
Yes. So that comes out today on July the 18th. The updated version, so you can get that. It's on Amazon or all the sort of Amazon, big UK book sites. So yeah, it's there. Just type for it, Revolution: The Rise of Arteta's Arsenal, and you can get it there.
I will read. Thank you, Charles. Gracias a todos. Esto fue Arsenal Interactivo con Charles Watts directamente desde el Reino Unido. Lo traeremos de vuelta, claro que sí. Adiós. Goodbye, Charles.
See ya. Thank you. Bye bye.